So there's a fundamental shift that occurs in your goal attainment. Your goals have basically been driven by neurotic impulses in you, which drop away, right? And when your neuroticism drops and your goals fall away, guess what falls away with that? Motivation, right? And it's like your brain has to go through a period of time where it's unraveling your former motivation system and rebuilding a new motivation system. And everybody wants to hear, I'm going to get enlightened and I'm going to be 10 times more effective in my job, right? Nobody wants to hear, I'm going to have issues with motivation. Or nobody wants to hear, I'm going to transition to this entirely other way of seeing the world. And a consequence of that is that I'm going to feel sort of like an alien now, living in normal reality, because 99.5% of the rest of the population is experiencing life in this highly neurotic way.
Including my wife, my boyfriend, my girlfriend, my husband, my kids.
Wife, my boyfriend, my kids, my whoever, right? Every friend I have, everybody at work, literally my entire world. And I used to experience that. I just experienced it yesterday. I still have a fairly decent memory of what that experience was like, but I don't want to sit around and talk to these people about their neurotic stories anymore. My life is no longer a game of me sitting there validating your neurotic story so that you'll sit there validating my neurotic story, right? Like that to me is like just a reduction in my peace, not a leveling up of my peace. And so I'm just not interested in doing that anymore. I'm not that interested in reading the novels that I read for years or watching the TV series with you, because they're all these story-driven, neurotic sort of things, that are designed to hit me in certain ways and make me feel certain ways or whatever. Like, I'm at peace. I don't need that stuff anymore, right? And so there's like these significant life changes that occur. And who's talking about that, right? Because, how many people are going to sign up for your program to some degree? And we take a huge risk on this, right? Because we have all kinds of research out there that basically says, this is what it's like on the other side of this. And so, you sign up with us, you sort of know what you're getting. I'm going to give you the life as a synchronistic golden path. Everything is going to be perfect for you, and not tell you that I just lost my house. I'm going to sort of leave that part out of it. But I'm being honest about how this moment is feeling for me. Or you have to be like, you're going to have major life changes here. Your life as a finder is going to be, to some degree, a moment, depending upon where you land, the degree of agency you still have, all of that. I mean, let's leave all that aside for the moment in terms of debating the nuances of fundamental well-being and the different types of it and all that. And let me just say generically, to some degree, your life is going to be a moment-to-moment decision of how much of that deep internal peace are you willing to erode for personal effectiveness in the world. Because the entire rest of the world is sort of anti that internal personal effectiveness. And so integration at its heart for PNSE comes down to psychological deconditioning and undoing all of those old programming patterns, because you don't have the sense of self reinforcing them anymore, and optimum ways to do that. And that's a lot of our research and a lot of our work right now. And so that's all really important. But the fundamental question of living in the world comes down to, how much of my peace am I going to erode in order to have an X degree of effectiveness? And so there's, for instance, a high divorce rate among people, not advertised, right? Like, who's putting that in their, web pages, right? Hey, come and get enlightened and you'll probably get divorced. But there's a high degree of divorce rate among this, right? Because you wake up and you have, this spouse that is still there. They're not awake. They're not happy that you're happy all the time. I mean, as much as we would like to think that they have our best interest at heart in every moment of our life, the reality is, like, now you're sort of this shining example of what their system has been yearning for since they were a little kid or whatever.